another edition of our Heart to Heart. I am still out here in beautiful Colorado, and today we're having a heart to heart session in the home of the Griffins. This is Carter Thomas Griffin, and she's opened her doors to us and our Heartful Living community in the heart of Beaver Creek, Colorado. And it's a full circle moment for me because I grew up coming here for over 25 years. And I don't know how it is that I've never run into this woman on the mountain because she's been coming out here just as long as well. Carter, thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for asking me to come on.
And your home is so beautiful. Thank you for inviting us in and sharing, your home with everybody that's listening today.
You're welcome.
So, Carter, tell us about how you grew up and how you ended up here.
So I am originally from Mississippi. I grew up there my whole life, and I have one brother. We both went to Ole Miss. My parents went to Ole Miss. Very Southern family. After my freshman year of college, my father passed away in a car accident, and I ended up finishing college, but never quite felt like I had repaired myself from losing such a big part of my heart and my life. And I really struggled, and I knew that I had grown up skiing. Coming to Colorado, my brother and I even went to summer camp in Colorado.
Was it here in Beaver Creek?
No, it was actually, where was it in Colorado? I went to a Christian camp, Kanakuk, and they had a K Colorado out in Colorado. So we did that, and I knew that my dad and his brothers had been out here in the summer, and we're just an outdoorsy family.
Mm-hmm.
And so one day I was like, I think I need to go. The West is calling. The mountains are calling. So I packed up. My mom was very scared and worried, but also
Mama Jane. Hi, Mama Jane.
She was worried, but also supportive. I think
Mhm.
deep down she knew like I needed some space from just everyone and everything I knew. So people say, "Oh, well, did you find yourself in Colorado?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess I did."
Yeah. You found more than just yourself. You found your destiny, your future, your
Yes.
future companion and partner in life,
Yeah.
which we'll get to in a minute. But I want to know, I always tell everybody when they are searching for their little piece of Colorado, when they're searching for their mountain, I said, you have to go find your mountain.
Yeah.
There's so many towns out here, and there's so many places, and you have to connect to your mountain. I know you and I have a friend in common who's been on the podcast before, Sophia Holtzman.
Yeah.
And she was a huge fan of Snowmass. And I told her, before you commit to Snowmass, you need to come to Beaver Creek.
Yeah.
And we changed her. This is now her mountain.
That's right.
So how did you end up in Beaver Creek?
Okay, well, let's also not forget that this, where we are, my husband and I are, your family had a place in this same development.
I know.
And so talk about full circle for you.
I'm telling you.
It's amazing.
So all of these units more or less have the same shape and configuration. And I feel like I am sitting in my parents' old townhome, which is nutty.
Yeah.
Because it was even facing this way.
Oh, wow.
It's only like one building over.
Yeah.
We had, the same chimney on this side with the TV and the kitchen. So this is really full circle for me.
So I thought about going back into a graduate program in counseling for grief and loss, and because I wanted to help other people, mainly, kids. When I say kids, younger adults and kids that had loss, like I did with my dad. And I thought that was my calling, and I thought that was what I wanted to do with my life. And I felt that God was leading me to that. And when I got in to the program, it was just a little too heavy for me and a little too close. And I am definitely an empath. So when I would be around people or think about people's stories, while I'm still like, I love to help and all those things, I couldn't cut it off and let it go. So I knew that it wasn't quite right. So I had met a friend, and I grew up in Aspen and Winter Park, skiing all over Colorado.
Okay.
And this friend of a friend, and she was like, "Oh, well, my parents have a place in Beaver Creek. Why don't you try it out?" And I said, "Okay, well, I will." So it was in Arrowhead.
Wow.
Like pretty much in the same building y'all are at,
No kidding.
So another moment of us just like crossing paths.
100%.
And I was like, and she said, "Well, I think I'm gonna be a ski instructor," because she grew up skiing out here. I said, "Oh, well, that sounds cool. I'll be a ski instructor." So we both signed up to be ski instructors. And through that, I ended up meeting another girl from Texas.
Okay.
And she became a dear friend of mine, and we have mutual friends. She went to Vanderbilt, but she's from Houston. But we had mutual friends at Ole Miss. And her parents actually owned this unit and the unit next door. And so when I was a ski instructor, she and I were ski instructors together, lived next door. Her parents were so sweet. They're like, give us X amount and you're good to go. And we would ski down to work every day. And it was cool. It was cool.
So not to give the story away, but the full circle moment is that you now own the unit that you started your journey here in Beaver Creek in.
That's right.
Which is, how amazing is that? How full circle and fulfilling does that feel?
It's crazy.
And to be here with your family.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So tell us, because you met your husband out here.
I did, through one of my ski clients. So the man who gave my husband his first job out of law school, which is how my husband met Christy's husband in law school in Miami. His name was Steven, and he and his daughter would come out and ski, and we met, and I skied with his daughter for about 3 years. And he would always say, "Oh, you're from Mississippi. You need to meet my friend Flint. He's from Tennessee," which everyone always just puts us in one state, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, just,
they clump you together. Yeah, it happens.
But I'm like, yeah, that sounds great, Anyway, so the last day that they were in town, these clients of mine, which was a normal thing, a lot of the they would ask the ski instructors, "Hey, come to dinner with us before we leave." Because when you're doing private lessons, you really get to know the family, and you spend a lot of time with the kids, and they become an extension of your little family,
Right.
So I was like, "Oh, I don't know." So long story short, I walk into dinner, and my husband is one of 4 boys. 2 of his brothers were there, and I walked in with my boyfriend at the time. And Flint and I had just this immediate connection. So, yeah.
That was it.
That was it, actually. He chased me for like a year. I finally responded to him, and
let's fast forward. So you finished your time in Colorado, and so does Flint.
Yeah, so Flint finished his time here. He was here. We weren't here at the same time, but he came in between undergrad and law school. And then I came out for 1 season, and I ended up staying for 4. And then I went back for my graduate degree. And when I went back to Ole Miss for that, he and I reconnected, and he said, "Can I come and visit?" I was like, "I don't know." And he came to visit 2 weeks later. We were engaged 7 months after that, and married 6 months after that.
Yep. So let me back up and ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I recently spoke to Lauren Thomas.
Okay.
And she's going to be on our podcast. I, at this point, don't know if our viewers will have already seen her podcast or not. But we did talk about the importance of a gap year.
Yeah.
And how it's becoming more and more acceptable in American society, in European society. She shared with me that it's mandatory to take a gap year after your senior year of high school.
Yeah.
And how it's really helping kids figure out what it is exactly that they want to do. It may not have been right after high school for both you and Flint, but I would say that those gap years that you guys chose, or that gap season that you chose to be out here, was huge for your growth.
Yeah.
Would you recommend it for your children as well?
I would. I knew that I had, Flint and I both had great parents, and we knew that we always wanted to further our education, because I will say that it is easy to come out here and get stuck and like
Yeah.
make it work, and you're just kind of living, which is not a bad thing. We
Right.
we need all the people, and
Yeah.
we need people that stay out here to have a functioning ski town, you know.
Right.
But I will say that when I was a ski instructor, I started doing adaptive skiing. So that's special needs children and adults that I would take them out skiing. And it was what led me to being a speech pathologist. So without coming here, and I really struggled because I had a lot of aptitudes for things, but I could never nail down what I really wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
And so I'm super sporty. So being out here, I was able to do all of that without feeling the judgment of like the South, or, you know, you and I
Sure.
talked about,
Yes.
you know, similar cultures, even though with yours being a Cuban background, the
Right.
Southern culture is very similar.
Right.
So I was able to come out here and really be athletic and
Be you.
be me.
Authentic
Yeah.
and real, and make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's okay if it's, you know, wrong. It's the journey. It's not, is that what they say? The journey, not the destination?
Yeah.
Or the destination, not
the journey.
Yeah. I'm not sure which way it goes,
Whatever,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's touch on Southern culture versus Cuban culture.
Okay.
And how it's different and the same, because you reconnect with Flint. You guys fall madly in love with each other. Before I know it, I am 4 months postpartum with Adriana, and we're at your wedding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You were actually...
And I think Sandra was pregnant or just had...
We were both nursing at the time.
Okay, that's right.
So
okay.
we were both postpartum. Yeah. I remember you were already in Miami planning the wedding and getting ready to move to Miami, because that's where Flint was living, when I had just delivered Adriana.
That's wild. Yeah, we were at an ice cream shop when
Yep.
she came early, and we were like, we got the call, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you spent Easter with us, like her first Easter, and she was this little 6-pound nothing. She was born at 4.5 pounds. And then, yeah, so I'm 4 months postpartum. We're in your hometown.
Yeah.
You had the most gorgeous wedding in your family home backyard.
Yeah.
Which was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And then, boom, Mississippi to Miami. What was that like?
I guess, I mean, it was a big change.
Yeah.
It was a lot. I think at that time in my life, I was definitely open to adventure. I think, this is crazy, but you know the movie Yes Day?
Yes.
Okay. Well, my kids,
yes,
somebody put them on that movie.
Oh, it's a great
movie. And I'm
movie.
Watching it, and I'm like, oh my God, is that me? I'm like,
because you were up for anything.
Because I was up for anything, and now I'm like being the mom, and it's a hard place to be, right? Where you're trying to like raise these little things, but then they have their own personalities and their own ideas, and so you want them to have their wings and spread, but then you also want this like control over, and then the culture, the expectation for me in the South was very much, you know, look this way, act this way, do this, do that, and smile on, you know, that sort of
sweep
thing.
under the rug.
Sweep under the rug.
Right.
So, but I will say, when I've moved to Miami, I remember, I think I was like, oh my gosh, when I was spending holidays with y'all, it was like I was with my family.
Right.
And it was very comfortable for me and very normal for me.
Yeah.
And I got really lucky. Flint had wonderful friends from law school, and luckily I got along with the wives, and it worked.
And it was just easy fit.
Well, it was hard because I was I started going through all my infertility stuff, but at the same time, when all of you were having babies, I was, you know, we didn't have children yet. So I was able to say, hey, let's all get together. I would like force all of us to get together. Not force, but it created these opportunities for me to like say, hey, I'm going to come have coffee, or hey, let's meet for lunch. Or now that when I was on the flip side of like, when you've had a baby and you're like, oh my God, just to like take a shower and put your makeup on and like get dressed and get out of the house is a whole ordeal.
Right. So it's not until you're in those shoes that you realize just how hard of an activity it is to pack up a newborn and go get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I get it.
So I think like we were all blessings for each other in that time.
Absolutely.
Like y'all were blessings for me
Yeah.
And then there was a part of me and Flint that like maybe reminded y'all that you're still young and fun and all the
I know.
things.
It feels like a lifetime ago.
It does. I know.
So that must have piqued your desire to be a mom, because you had always wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
And we're sprouting kids left and right at that point, and you're ready.
Yeah. And Flint and I got married, later in life. I turned 30 on my honeymoon. He was 34, almost 35.
Right.
And but Flint was like just fine where he was,
Of
right?
course.
Having the time of his life in Miami, being a bachelor, and then we got married, and he kind of had that like light bulb moment as well. And his family's amazing, and he his parents are divorced, but his mom remarried to a wonderful man, and his dad was a sweetheart, so he has stability there, even though
so let me stop you right there, because I also want to touch on the fact that you guys have a very beautiful blended family, modern family on both sides.
Yeah.
And somehow you guys make it look real easy.
Well, I mean, I would say that every family has their stuff.
Everybody has their stuff, but you guys do a really good job of all trying to get along and hang out together.
I think the effort is definitely there, and I think that's a huge part of it.
Effort.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
That's
you just got to keep plugging away, because it is your family and you just can't stop. You got to. But I think sometimes breaks are necessary, and I think it's fine to step away, and it's interesting because I'm like, gosh, all these siblings, they grow up in the same house with the same parents, yet they can be so different, right?
Right. Yes.
And then
you see it with your own kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then the things that they want in life or their personality type, it tends to this journey, and this one tends to this journey. And so I think it's important that we all learn to accept who other people are.
Yes.
And try not to judge like their journey.
Right.
And I don't know. I think it's can be really hard and difficult at times. And
well, you guys do get an A for effort.
Well, thank you.
You absolutely do.
I am definitely, Flint's family is amazing, and there are a lot of them, which was very overwhelming in the beginning. I can remember going, I don't think they like me, because it was intimidating.
They do have a big family, yeah.
And I think I finally, and that was like me being young and insecure too. Like now that I feel more secure in myself, I think that helps, right? We have our own family,
right?
And, we have to protect that.
Sure.
And I feel very strong about my little unit.
Yes. Yes. So let's get into how your little unit came into the world.
Okay.
You mentioned that you suffered with infertility, which I think is a topic that a lot of people sweep under the rug.
Yeah.
Just like miscarriages are something that everybody sweeps under the rug, and it's so common.
Yeah. I think people are doing a better job at talking about it now. I think sometimes with social media and things, that life can be, that people can almost share too much at times. My opinion. But then there's also this other beautiful part that people feel welcome to share, and they don't have to go through things like that alone, because there's a community, of people that are helping them through that process.
Absolutely.
But I definitely, so Flint and I, when we tried, I immediately got pregnant and then lost our first child. So we were in the hospital New Year's Eve in Miami.
Yep.
And with my first DNC. And then that was heartbreaking. We went to a doctor in Miami that actually you had told me about.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you're fine. And I was like, I don't know, like something's not right.
Your gut.
It was just, I just kind of knew.
Yeah.
And then through that process, I had, we went to Dr. Schoolcraft in Colorado. I forget the name of this doctor. In LA we went to. We went to a doctor in Memphis, Tennessee.
You went everywhere.
We went all over the place trying to figure out why I kept having miscarriages. So I had 6 miscarriages before I had Dylan.
And thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
because that's a big number.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about 1 or 2. We're talking about several.
Yeah, there were a lot of ups and downs through that process.
Yes, and those 6 were in a totality. Remind me, because I'm
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
So by the time you got pregnant with Dylan, you were terrified.
Well, I was also done. I was like, this is kind of ruining my marriage, like to an extent, like our relationship. It had become, of course, like the physical part had become so, mechanical, trying to like get it right, and this day and this temperature and this, all the things.
Yeah.
That
a technical
I
act.
just was like, you know what? I love my husband and we can have a beautiful life. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life trying to do this, or I want to be at peace about it. So
and your heart was getting broken over and over again.
Yeah. And when you want to have children and you feel like you can't, there's definitely a part of you that feels broken.
Tell me more about that.
Just, you almost feel like you're not, like being a Christian, like I knew that I was like a worthy woman, like
yes, of course.
Of things, but there was also a part of me that, was like, man, I feel like I can't, that I couldn't provide something to my husband, that I couldn't.
Something that society deems you.
Yeah, like
this is what you are supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it did a psychological number on you.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just was hard. It was hard.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it all is in God's timing, right? So I'm about to move home to Mississippi. I'm like walking the streets of Miami. Flint and I are having a, kind of last supper before we move. And my mom is like, calls me and earlier in the day, she's like, listen, I just think you ought to go see this doctor in Mississippi. And I'm like, okay, Mom, I've been to the best of the best. Like, I don't know that this is going to work.
Yeah.
And so the doctor calls me while we're at dinner because they know each other. And he's like, hey, and I'm like walking the streets of Miami. Flint's inside waiting on me, eating dinner. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyway, he's like, well, my nurses will call you and we'll get you an appointment scheduled. So we move home. At the other time
and home right now, by the way, is Mississippi.
Yeah.
So we lose Carter and Flint in Miami.
Yeah. So we moved from Miami.
Yeah. But it's not Flint's hometown. It's your hometown.
Home base. Almost.
Home state. Yeah.
So Mississippi. Yeah.
Flint and you're right down the street from your brother.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
And your gorgeous nephews.
Yep.
And you're building this beautiful home, which I never had the pleasure of going to.
It was fun.
And what happens with the doctor?
So we go to a doctor in Memphis, an IVF doctor. They do a whole like checkup and all the things. And he's like, okay, let's take this test. Then we're going to come back and do whatever. So then I go see this other doctor and we pull up and his office is in like a little strip mall in this small town in Mississippi. And my husband looks at me like, you're nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we go in and I have like my 3-ring binder of all of my things.
With like all the papers, I'm sure.
And the doctor's like, oh, you got a binder. And I'm like, this asshole. I don't know if I can say that on here.
Yes, you can say anything you want.
Anyway, so we go in and he does his own ultrasounds. Like there's no ultrasound tech. It's the doctor.
Him.
Anyway, he's like, oh, well, you have PCOS. Take this. It was metformin. Take some progesterone and let us know when you get pregnant.
Carter, what I don't understand is after everybody you went to the creme of doctors. Nobody told you had PCOS?
So Dr. Schoolcraft in Colorado mentioned that I might because I had a ton of eggs. But he was pushing for for IVF. And my husband, being that he is like a numbers guy, IVF, like you still have the same miscarriage rate. Right. So what I needed to figure out was why I was having the miscarriages, not having trouble getting pregnant.
Yeah.
So the doctor that I went to in Mississippi was a pharmacist first, and then he became an OBGYN. So he knew how certain medicines would, work with the female body to carry babies.
Well, I don't think it's coincidence that it took for you to go home.
Yeah, somebody goes, you must not have been happy in Miami. It was like the next month I was first month I was home.
Yeah,
we were
boom.
like pregnant.
But you needed your family.
Yeah.
So God led you to your family to have the baby.
So now.
And now you've got Dylan.
Now I have Dylan.
Who is
8.
And she was your first baby post.
My little angel baby, I call her.
Mm-hmm.
And then.
She's a true rainbow baby.
She is.
Yeah. In every sense of the word. She shines.
She does. Thank you. In more ways than one, or I would want all the time. But she keeps us all moving. And then we decided that we wanted to have another one. And I said, well, we might as well try. I don't know how long it's going to take. So I started the metformin again. And 1 month later, I was pregnant with Clayton.
Mm-hmm.
And so the girls are 15 months apart.
They are Irish twins.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny about that is they finally decide to come home and visit us. I mean Miami.
Yeah.
And I prepare the guest bedroom with a pack and play for Dylan and a queen size inflatable bed for Flint and Carter. And Carter walks in through the door and she looks destroyed. Carter,
we sat down for lunch, remember?
I ordered you like from the old Power Bowl place that was down the street.
Good.
And I go, are you pregnant? And you go, yes, I am.
You're always the first person that finds out.
I don't know. I guess I'm a pregnancy whisperer for you. But yeah, she came storming through.
Yeah.
And then Clayton comes. When was it that your house went on fire? You had a smoke fire?
We had a house fire. So we had moved to Mississippi. We had Dylan. 15 months later, we had Clayton.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were in Oxford, Mississippi. And then my husband, when Clayton was a baby, he ended up his job in Miami. He kind of wrapped up his business there and started working with his grandfather in Knoxville, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, but we should probably do a trial first. So, I mean, Oxford to Knoxville is like 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
So it's not a super easy commute, but my husband would be home for a week and then go to Knoxville for a week.
I remember that.
So it was like he went to church on Sunday and then drove away for the week, worked all day Friday, drove home, got home at, midnight on Fridays. And then, it was hard because because he was gone, but 2, because, which I'm sure like a lot of military people or people whose husbands or wives travel a lot, you get in a routine with them not there. And then they come back and you have to get in another routine. And so it was always just
up and down.
Yeah. A rocky kind of situation. But anyway, during that time in November of 2020, so Clayton was born July of 2018. So she was under 2.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the house and I woke up one morning, we had gone to dinner, Flynn had been home. It was a really cold November. So he had a fire going like every day. And we had gone to dinner the next morning and I went in, the house was kind of smoky. We had this big vaulted room and I was like, Flynn, I told you to put the fire out before you go to bed. And he's like, what are you talking about? I did. And I was like, well, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, the log, I go in there, get the log out and toss it outside.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, as we wives do, we're like,
sure, of course,
follow the rules,
it's their fault always.
So anyway, I go back in and I'm like, man, it's still smoky in here. And then the day kind of goes on. Flint's in our bedroom taking a call, and I open the door and our whole bedroom is full of smoke. And he's just sitting in there. He didn't realize it? No, he didn't, because you couldn't see any fire.
Ooh, sorry.
You couldn't see the fire. You couldn't smell. It was like you could just see all the smoke. And you were like, it smells like kind of fireplacey,
Oh, no.
So long story short, I take both of the girls out of their bedrooms because their room, everything was just kind of smoky, but Flint's office had a separate unit. So I put one pack and play in the bathroom and one in the closet for their nap that day. And then I called my mom and my stepdad, who's a contractor, and I was like, something just doesn't feel right. Like, it's smoky and it was cold. So when you open the doors, it was freezing. So I put them upstairs for their nap, and my stepdad came over, and all of a sudden we were outside and everything kind of lit on fire.
Oh, scary.
So the builder and the guys that had built the fireplace had built our fireplace wrong, and we were on a like a raised foundation.
Oh my goodness.
So they had built our fireplace on top of wood. Like, it was just sitting on
a
the
big
brick
no-no.
was just sitting on wood. And there was usually, like, there's brick that goes all the way, or block that goes all the way down to the ground, and there was none.
And your house caught on fire.
Heat, if they say, like, this nail got hot enough that it caught the wood on fire. So anyway, our furnace was under the house. So it was soaking up we had spray foam insulation under the house, the whole house. And what was happening is the fire had caught, and all of the spray foam was smoldering under the house. The furnace was sucking up the smoke of the fire and pushing it out through the house. So you couldn't see the fire. Like, it didn't make sense.
How
right?
Scary.
Yeah.
You had a guardian angel.
Yeah, we did.
That, heaven forbid.
Well, they said like that spray foam insulation probably really saved us.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if the fire would have started at night, our kids are upstairs. Like, we would, and their stairs are right at the base of that big vaulted room that's all wood. So most likely we would not have been able to get the kids out if it had started at night.
How scary.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
But you know what? We got the kids out and the animals, and
that's what matters.
And we were all safe.
And everything else is replaceable.
Yeah, but it was definitely, like, traumatic.
Of course. So the reason why I ask about your fire, you've had a lot of traumas in your life, right?
Yeah.
Your dad passing, this fire with your family, like your pride and joy. You moved to Tennessee.
Yeah. So I said, so they came and packed our whole house out. Yeah. They had to clean and repair all the damage.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, before we move all this stuff back in, you need to we need to either move, or you need to find a new job, because I need my husband home, like, to raise the kids,
Yeah.
And so we moved to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Big move
away
from home,
and then, like, this beautiful home that we had built for our family, and we never got to step foot back in it. So
that's a lot.
It was a lot.
And then you get to Tennessee, and surprise, surprise, you're pregnant again.
Well, hold on. Not that quickly. So we buy a house.
You buy your house.
We move in. We renovate it. So we're living in a family's guest home.
Right.
And then Flint has his helicopter accident.
And that's big trauma number 3 for you.
So that was August of 2020. So we moved June of 2020 in the middle of COVID. And then August 2020, Flint was in the helicopter crash.
Can you talk a little more about that?
Well, luckily, he survived.
Thank God.
His grandfather was piloting, and they deemed it pilot error, and they crashed into the Tennessee River, and his great uncle passed. But Flint was able to get out, and he helped their business partner get out, and his grandfather was actually underwater for quite some time. But when he came up, and Flint helped get them there was a boat that was watching the helicopter land, that then was able to come over and rescue them out of the water.
And this was at nighttime or close to night?
It was in the afternoon.
I mean, you watched the whole thing happen.
Not the whole thing, but I heard. And then my husband's grandmother called me in hysterics, and she had seen the whole thing. And I run outside, because we're staying at his grandfather's guest house. And I look out, and the tail of the helicopter is just floating down the water. And I called my mom, and I said, Flint's just died in a helicopter crash. And it was like all the same feeling like when my dad had passed. It was weird. It was like, they say I guess cells kind of remember things.
Of course.
But yeah, I remember I had already put Clayton to bed, and she was in a pack and play in the closet. Dylan was stalling on the little potty because she had started potty training. So I'm like, go to the bathroom so we can get to bed, So anyway, I remember I just ran outside, and that was very traumatic, but I'm, grateful.
What were your thoughts and feelings? Because the first thing you thought was, my husband's dead.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm a widow.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts and feelings when you realized he was alive?
So when I saw them come out of the water, it was almost like biblical or something, these figures coming out of the water. I don't know. It was very surreal, very surreal. Because when I ran down, some people that lived on the property, I said, please go get my kids. And I ran down, and it was dead silent. It was quiet. There was no you couldn't see anything. Just the water was moving. And I was like, this is so eerie, And then I run down, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And these little angels that were riding by came and brought them over, and 3 of them walked away and 1 of them passed. But anyway, it was crazy. And they all went back to work the next day.
Which is even crazier to me.
Yeah.
Well, needless to say, that was one of the worst phone calls that my husband and I ever received in our lives.
Yeah.
Because our call was also that he was in a helicopter crash, and we didn't know if he had survived or not.
Yeah.
So we're just so grateful to God that he's still here with us today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so moving forward,
how do you get over that you've had so many traumas in your life. How have you learned to overcome them and still be so stoic, so grounded, so firm in your faith, despite everything you've been through?
Well, I think it's important that we practice gratitude. I think it's important that I definitely will say that I, in the past, have been more of a a woe is me, why does this happen, or why can't I, or why,
Yeah.
But when you look at things, and Flint has helped me with this a lot. I mean, we still have a ton to be grateful for.
Yes.
We still have a lot.
Yes.
Of we have our health. We have our faith, family, friends, that are more more like family.
Yeah.
And then there are people that suffer tragedy all the time. And I think, I don't know why I have this thought, and it may be wrong, but it's how I've managed to get through with just losing my dad and different things, is that when the immense pain and trauma passes, not completely, but or subsides, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I have been able to use what I learned from those experiences to help other people, because I think it's a very loss and grief and trauma and all that is very lonely.
Yeah.
And so I think that when you're able to relate to people, it allows you to, I don't know, there's something healing about it.
Well, if that's not practicing heartful living, I don't know what it is. Honestly, that you just embody what heartful living is all about, making lemonade.
Yeah.
Because life will give you lemons.
Yes.
And
I haven't always made lemonade.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be angry. And it's okay to go through all the emotions and feelings, because you're human.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So today, where are we today in the Griffin family?
So fast forward. So that was 2020. So I had another miscarriage around 2021. And then I told Flint, I was like, okay, I think we're done. I'm older. I can't, I really felt it in my body this last time. And,
yeah.
So I said, I really think, maybe it's time for you to go to the doctor.
It's your turn.
So he procrastinates, which now is, I guess, a big blessing.
Yes.
We have a third baby that I call him my Jesus baby because I did no fertility treatments. I had no medicine. And I thought he was going to come out, all kind of which ways. But he is the sweetest, kindest little boy ever. And his due date was my dad's birthday. So it was just a total.
Your life is a series of coincidences. And by the way, for the record, when they bought this gorgeous apartment, we came to celebrate with a bottle of champagne that, their dream had become a reality and they were coming full circle and
made it through the gates.
And they were, on their way. And this was the apartment that Carter started her journey in Beaver Creek in. And I look at her again. I go, you look like shit. I go, you're pregnant. And you go, yes, I am. And I'm not happy about it.
It was so true. I was like, yeah, I wasn't. I was so upset about being pregnant. I was like,
I'll never forget. You were like, you told me, you're like, Christy, the girls are in panties. They're out of the potty training stage. I don't want to do this anymore.
I know. I had this total moment. It was like 10 a.m.
Luke is here.
Oh.
That sounds like Christy's laugh.
Yes. Do we need a break?
Not at all.
Okay. Well, Flint, we're in the middle of a podcast right now.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
So where was I? I said 10. Oh, I remember 10 a.m. one day. I go to like jump in the shower and I'm like, oh my gosh, my kids are like at school. They're both potty trained. And it was like a month later. It was Flint's birthday. Actually, we had gone out on the boat.
Yes, because we were here for Danny and Danny's birthday, and Flint and Danny had the same birthday.
But he's like, don't you want to can you just wait till the end of the day? I'm like, to take a test. I was like, no, I got to know. Like, I think something's off.
Yeah.
And so baby Flint, we have baby Flint. So they are now 8, 7, and 3.
And life couldn't be better.
Life is great. Yeah.
Final words. What would you tell the Carter 20 years ago?
Somebody told me one time, I think for me, a big thing was, and I don't know if it was my Southern culture or just innately me, that always wanted, and my parents were happily married for 28 years before my dad's accident. And my brother and I got to watch them, be together and instill in us a lot of great examples and morals and values and all the things. And I always wanted that for myself. And so I think I always worried about finding someone. And I think I always worried of some of the hard times that I had after, some of those traumas was, who am I ever going to be loved like that? Like, will I ever find my partner? And I think I worried about that so much and tried to make that happen so much for myself that I lost out probably on maybe some other things. Although I lived a great life, but I would tell my younger self what someone told me, and it was like, why are you trying so hard to find the person? God already has him picked out for you.
I love that.
And I went, okay. So I kind of carry that in my pocket, and I think about men that I've dated in the past, or boys rather. I learned something from each of them, and there were good and there was bad, but it was all preparing me for Flint. And I am so grateful for him. And he is not perfect. And he really gets me going sometimes, but in the end, he is patient and he is kind, and he is willing to work through things with me and for me. And I think that's important, for my younger self was, hey, try not to worry so much. Enjoy your life. be kind, do good things, and hopefully you have a relationship with the Lord, whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, the majority of the rest of your life falls into place.
Love that.
So.
Great way to end. Carter, thank you.
Thank you. I
Love you.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Come back?
Maybe. I don't know. I've told all my stuff. I'm